Hello and welcome to the Real Estate Regroup Show. I am your host, LJ Walker. Well, today I'm going to address the shocking news that Jermaine Jackson has been hit with a $6.5 million judgment, not because he lost the trial, but because he simply didn't show up. Okay, for those of you who don't know, Jermaine Jackson was recently accused of assaulting a woman, breaking into her home, and physically, sexually assaulting her, and then walking away. The woman then says that a day later, she reached out to Berry Gordy to report the issue, and he pretty much swept it under the rug. But the only person that is actually really on trial for this particular case is Jermaine Jackson. Okay, so here's the thing. One can argue and say, gee, why didn't Jermaine show up in court? There's a couple of reasons why this can be. Sometimes there's poor legal advice. Not all lawyers are the same, unfortunately. Other times it's not the lawyer. Sometimes it's the individual. They believe that the case is frivolous. And even if it's frivolous, that doesn't mean that you should avoid the case. You should still attend. Sometimes there's also financial issues that are involved, and Jermaine unfortunately has had a very long public record of financial trouble. Then, since we know that the movie Michael has hit theaters, a lot of promotion has been going on, and Jermaine has been the forefront because he's involved. He was heavily involved in the movie. So that could be why he did not show up in court. Okay. So that was one of the questions that many people were wondering. Now, another thing that people had brought up was, can Jermaine countersue now? Actually, yes, he can. But it would have to be in a separate lawsuit for like defamation, malicious prosecution, or abuse of the process. If he believes that he is innocent, then that's the road that he can go. Now, I have to preface this to say, yes, I've worked in a law firms actually, with an S, for 30 years. I am not a lawyer. I just know a little this here and there, all right? So always consult your own lawyer if by any chance you happen to be in this situation, or you're Jermaine Jackson and just happen to be listening to what I'm saying. Now, another point that was brought up is, can she go after his homes? Because in the lawsuit, from what I saw, she was only suing Jermaine and his companies. Well, here's the thing. Jermaine has been noted to rent a lot more than he owns. And the properties that he has, or property, just one Y without the S, is inside of the Jackson Family Trust, which is where the family assets are. I don't believe, I'm almost certain he does not control that trust. And because he doesn't control the trust, creditors can't touch it. See, they can touch what you own personally in California unless the California homestead exemption kicks in. And California has one of the strongest homestead exemptions in the company. In the country. It protects $300,000 to $600,000 worth of home equity from judgment creditors. So if Jermaine still has a home under his own name, then yes, they can place a lien on it. However, they won't be able to force a sale on it unless the equity exceeds the exemption. And if the home is inside the trust, she might as well forget about it. Real talk. Now, here's where Jermaine can argue. Here's where, this is what threw a lot of us off, a lot of people off. So this lady, she claimed that she was assaulted back in 1988, right? Here's the thing. And then after that, she went straight to Berry Gordy. Here's the thing. Jermaine left Motown in 1983. He was no longer under Berry Gordy's label, so why go to Berry Gordy at all? That's what doesn't make sense to many of us. Motown was actually sold in 1988. So again, why go to Berry Gordy at all? Berry Gordy is not the cop. She did not work for Motown. Her husband worked for Motown. And I'm shocked that, I didn't read the whole thing, but it's like, to me, I would think you would go to your husband first and then maybe the police, not necessarily Berry Gordy. That's just me. That's just my thinking. But then again, if I try to put myself in her shoes, maybe she wasn't really thinking straight. But after 30 years go by, I'm saying to myself, I don't understand why she would have listed Berry Gordy in her case, or going that far, excuse me. All right. And then also another thing to think about is this. In 1988, the other thing that was going on was Jermaine was divorcing Hazel. Hazel Gordy was Berry Gordy's daughter. Hazel Gordy was also, excuse me, Hazel Gordy's aunt was also married to Marvin Gaye. So, and Marvin Gaye was known to be jealous of Jermaine. So there was a lot going on. Plus, Jermaine had another woman on the side, Margaret Maldonado or something like that. I can't remember how to say her name. He was also touring and recording at the same time. And I'm not really sure. I believe Whitney Houston was also, well, she wasn't really the other woman. She was like a brief other woman. She was like a one day, not one day, but she was a fling all during that time. So it's like he had so many women. Not that it couldn't happen, but it's like I just feel like his hands were just so tied up. I know. I could be wrong, but that's just how I feel about it. And I know other people feel the same way about it. Next, another thing that a lot of people are saying is, how is she going to get the 6.5 million if he's only worth 1.5 million? That is the reported net worth for Jermaine Jackson. Well, and a lot of people are like, nah, Jermaine is worth way more than that. Well, I'm going to let you guys know. I don't know exactly how much, even though that's the reported net worth. But that amount might actually be correct. Because here's what many of us don't realize. The Motown machine. You are a songwriter, a performer, whatever. You didn't own publishing and masters. Even though Jermaine wrote songs for himself, He wrote songs, I believe, for Switch and DeBarge. He actually discovered Switch and DeBarge. He does not own the publishing or masters for their music. Okay. Now, when it comes to Arista, he wrote music, but they let him own the publishing, but not his masters. So he actually isn't getting as much money as, or didn't make as much money as you guys think he did. Even with all he did, even with all the contributions that he's made through music. It's sad, but it's true. Right? Then financially, when I read certain books written about the Jacksons, including the one that his ex wrote, they said that Jermaine really wasn't all that great when it came on to handling money. He could make the money. And another ex was saying, yeah, he's making the money. But it's making the money is one thing, keeping it is another. He's run into tax lien issues, and I've talked about that in another video. He's filed bankruptcy. There are lawsuits against him for business, for rent, and let's not forget the child support issues. Because Jermaine has about 7 or 8 kids right now. That's a lot of kids to take care of. All right. So no, he doesn't have as much as you guys think. Okay. And then also the family trust really, even though Jermaine has his stuff in it, it really belongs to Michael. It's part of Michael's estate. That's not part of Jermaine's personal wealth. Okay. So it's not going to be easy to collect from Jermaine. I'll just put it out there. Even though now many of his kids are grown, they're adults, and they have kids of their own, I'm pretty sure he does not have to pay child support for them anymore. But let's be real, he has a 3-year-old right now, and it's not child support. He's an active participant parent in raising that child. That costs money. Okay. So yeah, that's not it's not going to be easy for them to collect that $6.5 million, even though they want it. You understand? And a lot of people don't. Another thing that I have to re-emphasize to you guys is that a lot of times when you don't show in court, the judge doesn't always side with you, but because, you might be there and you might have what they consider adequate proof, they may side with you if the other person doesn't show up. And even though there's a lot of proof that we see that, this case does seem very suspicious, in the book that his ex wrote, his ex said that he did assault his ex-wife, Hazel. And I believe that, that probably is why they went ahead and said, okay, Jermaine, you got to pay up. Because I've been the case I was in Jersey. And although I won my case, there were people that did not win their cases. The other person didn't show up, but the judge said that they did not prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that they were in the right, and the case was thrown out. So again, things differ from state to state. What happens in your state or the states that you do business in or you work with doesn't mean it happens the same way across the entire United States. Okay? So that's what I wanted These are the things I wanted you guys to learn and understand, and hopefully the information that I've shared with you will help you make smart financial moves. Feel free to pass this amongst your friends. Remember, each one reach one, teach one. Bye for now. Until next time. Have a good night.